It's been 5 years since the coronavirus struck New York City. Elmhurst, Queens was once considered the epicenter of the epicenter. Kristie Keleshian takes us to one of the hardest hit areas of the city during the pandemic, where the community reflected today on what they went through.
A moment of quiet reflection in Elmhurst, Queens. Just 5 years ago, a gathering like this couldn't even happen without social distancing and masks, especially in this neighborhood.
When I think back at this, I think of a war zone. Patients were lined up, stretcher to stretcher, no space.
Registered nurse and mother of 5, Janice Fana has worked at Elmhurst Hospital for over 20 years. At one point, it lost 13 patients in a 24-hour span to COVID-19 in March of 2020, when aggressive lockdowns were in place citywide, and hospitals, especially Elmhurst, were packed with patients.
It was a shocker, and it affected me personally. I would go home and tears would stream down my face.
On Saturday, 5 years after lockdowns were set in place citywide, a moment of silence was held in a community vigil held outside one of the country's busiest hospitals during the pandemic.
The hospital behind us became the epicenter of the epicenter during the pandemic. We lost tens of thousands of people just in this area of Queens.
Communities are looking back at what they consider lessons learned from the handling of the pandemic and are still looking at what needs to be improved upon now.
Since the start of the pandemic, we sadly have only seen nurse shortages and doctor shortages deepen.
Access to food was not great before. It's still not great now.
And transparency from lawmakers and even medical centers themselves when it comes to disclosing patient deaths at nursing homes, some of which became morgues during the height of the pandemic. Bronx District Leader Kristie Culpepper says her family is still traumatized over the sudden loss of her mother-in-law.
She died alone. And when so many things are hidden from, family members of victims who passed away, like in nursing homes, it stays traumatic for longer periods of time because we want to know why did it have to happen.
She says 5 years still hasn't been enough time for her and her family to get closure. In Elmhurst, Queens, Kristie Keleshian, CBS News, New York.